Greetings, deep thinkers, and welcome back. Today, we're unmasking the enigma of histrionic personality disorder, or HPD. Often misunderstood and stigmatized, HPD is a condition marked by excessive attention-seeking behaviors and emotional volatility. It's more prevalent than you might think, touching the lives of many around us, in our relationships, families, and workplaces. So, tighten your seatbelts, as we're about to navigate the labyrinth of the human psyche. Prepare to delve into the intricate world of the human mind. HPD is often misunderstood and stigmatized. Let's demystify it. When we think of histrionic personality disorder, or HPD, our minds often conjure images of overly dramatic, attention-seeking individuals, don't they? We might imagine someone who's constantly the center of attention, turning every situation into a personal performance. But this oversimplified portrayal is a common misconception that only scratches the surface of what HPD really is. Let's take the first misconception, that HPD is all about being dramatic and attention-seeking. While it's true that individuals with HPD may exhibit these behaviors, it's not a mere desire for attention. Rather, it's a deep-seated need for approval and reassurance stemming from low self-esteem. Imagine feeling like you always have to be on stage, fearing that any moment of authenticity might result in rejection. It's exhausting, isn't it? Now let's move to another common misunderstanding, that people with HPD are manipulative. This misconception stems from the fact that individuals with this disorder may use their appearance or behavior to draw attention. But labeling it as manipulation paints an unfair picture. It's not a calculated move for personal gain, but a plea for validation and acceptance. Perhaps you've also heard the stereotype that HPD is a woman's disorder. This is a misconception rooted in outdated gender norms. Yes, HPD may be diagnosed more frequently in women, but this could be due to gender biases in the diagnostic process. Men can and do experience HPD, but they may be underdiagnosed due to societal expectations about how they should behave. Finally, there's the misconception that people with HPD are shallow or lack depth. This couldn't be further from the truth. They may struggle with understanding their own emotions, which can come across as superficiality. But beneath the surface, they often grapple with intense feelings of emptiness and fear of abandonment. These misconceptions only serve to deepen the mystery surrounding HPD. Let's strive to replace stigma with understanding and misconception with empathy. After all, isn't that what being a deep thinker is all about? But what is the reality of HPD, you may ask? Let's delve into the heart of histrionic personality disorder, or HPD, and explore its true nature, beyond the stigmas and misconceptions. Imagine this. You're constantly seeking attention, but not out of vanity or desire for fame. It's an intense, almost insatiable need for approval, a need so strong that it dictates your behavior, your decisions, and your relationships. This is one of the primary struggles for those living with HPD. Think of Jane, a bright and enthusiastic woman in her 30s. She's known for her vivacious personality and dramatic flair. But behind the vibrant facade, Jane grapples with a constant fear of being ignored. She often feels the need to be the life of the party, to keep people engaged, because the thought of being overlooked is unbearable. This is not a choice for Jane, but a compelling necessity driven by her HPD. Then there's John, a charismatic man who's always the center of attention. He's charming, persuasive, and seemingly confident. But beneath the surface, John is perpetually anxious, constantly worried that his charm might fade and people might lose interest in him. He goes to great lengths to maintain his charisma, often resorting to exaggeration and theatricality, not because he wants to deceive, but because his HPD compels him to do so. HPD doesn't just affect the individual, it impacts their relationships as well. Consider Sarah, a mother with HPD who struggles to maintain a balanced relationship with her children. Her intense emotional expressions and constant need for approval often overshadow her children's needs, leading to strained relationships. These are just a few examples illustrating the real-life struggles of individuals with HPD. They are not attention seekers by choice, nor are they inherently manipulative or superficial, as the stigmas might suggest. They are individuals grappling with a complex personality disorder that shapes their interactions and experiences in profound ways. As we can see, the reality of HPD is far from the stigmas and misconceptions. It's a complex and challenging condition that requires empathy, understanding, and support from all of us. The stigma surrounding HPD has a profound impact on those living with the disorder. Stigma, this invisible yet palpable force, can often be more damaging than the disorder itself. It's like a shadow following those with HPD, casting a dark silhouette over their lives and, at times, making them feel isolated and misunderstood. Imagine for a moment you're a vibrant individual, full of life and emotions, but because of your HPD, you're often seen as overly dramatic or attention-seeking. It's as if your genuine feelings are constantly being invalidated, overshadowed by the stigma that's attached to your condition. Let's take the example of Jane, a woman in her 30s. Jane is full of energy, she loves being around people, and she thrives on interaction. But she also has HPD. Due to the stigmatizing labels, she's often misunderstood by her peers. They see her as an attention seeker, not as a person who is simply expressive and emotive. Her relationships suffer, her co-workers avoid her, her family tiptoes around her. The stigma isolates her, making her feel like an alien in her own world. Or consider the case of John, a successful businessman with HPD. He's charismatic and engaging, but his colleagues mistake his enthusiasm for manipulative behavior. The stigma attached to his condition creates a wall of misunderstanding, pushing him further into isolation. His contributions are undervalued, his ideas dismissed. The impact of the stigma is profound, affecting not just his professional life but also seeping into his personal relationships. Stigma creates a vicious cycle of isolation and misunderstanding. It's like a chain reaction. The more isolated those with HPD feel, the more their behavior may seem to align with the stigmatizing labels, further reinforcing the misconceptions. But here's the thing, stigma is not an inherent part of HPD. It's a societal construct, born out of a lack of understanding and empathy. And just as it was constructed, it can be deconstructed. It's time to break down these stigmas and foster understanding. The first step to doing this? Acknowledge the impact of stigma and commit to changing our perceptions. How do we break down these stigmas? Unraveling misconceptions about histrionic personality disorder begins with understanding and empathy. We must first acknowledge the humanity and individuality of those living with this condition. They are not mere caricatures defined by their disorder, but complex beings with unique experiences, dreams, aspirations, and feelings. Imagine, if you will, a coworker named Jane. Jane is vivacious, always the life of the party, and often the center of attention. She's been labeled as overly dramatic and attention-seeking, but behind that vibrant facade she struggles with HPD. Jane is more than her diagnosis. She's a talented graphic designer, a loving sister, and a passionate environmental activist. By focusing on her strengths and individuality, we challenge the stigma. Let's consider another example, a family scenario. John, a father with HPD, is often accused of being manipulative and insincere. But John is not just his disorder. He's a dedicated parent, an expert gardener, and a history enthusiast. When we see John for who he is, not just his HPD, we're taking steps towards breaking down the stigma. To challenge societal views on HPD, we must also emphasize education. Ignorance fuels stigma, and knowledge can extinguish it. We need to promote accurate information about HPD, dispelling myths and highlighting realities. We need schools, workplaces, and media outlets to present a balanced view of HPD, shedding light on the struggles people with this disorder face, without resorting to stereotyping or sensationalism. Lastly, we must foster open conversations about mental health. Silence breeds misunderstanding. By encouraging dialogue, we create a platform for those with HPD to share their experiences and for others to learn, empathize, and offer support. In the end, it's about seeing the person, not just the disorder. It's about empathy over judgment, understanding over ignorance, and conversation over silence. Together, we can make a difference and bring about change. As we journey through the complex world of HPD, it's clear that change is needed. We've ventured into the misunderstood depths of histrionic personality disorder, revealing the stark reality of this condition and the stigmas that individuals with HPD often face. These stigmas, steeped in misconceptions and lack of understanding, can have a profound impact on the lives of those with HPD. They can lead to isolation, strained relationships, and sometimes even discrimination. A crucial step in countering these stigmas is to foster understanding and compassion, to replace judgment with empathy. We dove into the reality of HPD, shedding light on the true nature of this disorder. It's not about attention-seeking or manipulative behavior, but rather a genuine struggle with emotional regulation and self-perception. We've also seen how these stigmas can be broken down. With education, open conversation, and a willingness to understand, we can begin to shift perceptions and attitudes about HPD. In the end, it all comes down to empathy and understanding. By acknowledging the reality of HPD and rejecting the stigmas, we can create a more accepting and supportive environment for those living with this disorder. Thank you for joining us on this journey, deep thinkers. Remember to engage, like, comment, and subscribe.